We shouldn't have been out there for as long as we were. That's the part that keeps coming back to me, not as a lesson, but as a quiet realization that things rarely go wrong all at once. They stretch out first. They give you time to convince yourself everything is fine. It was late afternoon when we walked onto the lake. The sun was already low, pale and weak. The kind of winter light that doesn't warm anything but still tricks you into feeling safe. There were 4 of us, friends I'd known for years. The kind of friends you trust without thinking, which makes bad decisions feel lighter than they should. The lake had been frozen for weeks. People had been walking on it and ice skating, ice fishing farther out. We could see footprints crossing the surface, old and new, crisscrossing like proof that this was normal, that nothing bad happened here. Someone joked about how thick the ice must be. Someone else kicked at it with their boot. It didn't even crack. Just a dull thud. Solid. Reassuring. I remember stepping farther from shore without thinking about it. The surface was pale, almost blue in places, with long frozen lines running beneath it like veins. I remember how quiet it was out there, the sound of the world muted by snow and cold air. The crack came without warning. It wasn't loud at first. It sounded more like something deep and heavy shifting underneath us, a low, hollow sound that traveled faster than my brain could process. I felt it through my boots before I understood what it was. The ice dropped. There was no time to react, no moment to jump back. 1 second, I was standing there, and the next, my feet were gone, and the world tilted violently. I remember the sound of someone shouting my name, but it came from far away. The water hit me like a physical blow. It stole the air from my lungs instantly. Every muscle locked up at once, like my body was trying to protect itself by shutting down. I went under without meaning to, dragged down by the weight of my jacket and boots. Everything became chaos. The cold wasn't just cold, it was pain. It felt like knives everywhere at once, sharp and overwhelming, making it impossible to think clearly. I tried to breathe and inhaled water instead, choking, my throat burning. I kicked upward instinctively and slammed into solid ice. That was the moment panic truly set in. I pushed again, harder, scraping my hands along the underside of the ice, expecting to feel the edge of the hole immediately. I didn't. Just smooth, unbroken surface. I spun, disoriented, bubbles rushing past my face as I turned too fast. My sense of direction completely gone. Above me, I could hear noise, muffled voices, yelling. The sound carried strangely through the ice, distorted and distant, like it wasn't meant for me anymore. I hit the ice again and again. I couldn't tell which way was up. The water was darker than I expected, the light from above scattered and broken, turning everything into a shifting blur. I reached out in every direction, my fingers numb already, my movements clumsy and slow. I remember thinking, very clearly, that this was how people died, without realizing it was happening. On the surface, everything was unraveling just as badly. Later, they told me what it looked like from above, how the ice cracked wider as I fell through, how someone dropped to their knees immediately, reaching for me without knowing where I was, how another friend started pacing in tight circles, shouting, swearing, his voice breaking as he realized he couldn't see me anymore. No one knew what to do. They yelled for me to swim back toward the hole, but none of them could see where I was under the ice. Someone lay flat and tried to spread their weight, pushing a branch toward the water, but it kept slipping, skidding uselessly across the surface. Time stopped making sense for all of us. Under the ice, it felt like everything was happening too fast and too slow at the same time. My chest burned, my head throbbed, every instinct screamed at me to breathe, even though I knew I couldn't. I scraped my hands raw against the ice, searching desperately for an edge, a break, anything. The thought that kept repeating in my head was simple and horrifying. I'm under a solid floor, and I don't know where the door is. My legs started to feel heavy. Not tired exactly, but distant, like they weren't fully connected to me anymore. My movement slowed without my permission. I remember realizing that I was starting to make bad decisions, kicking harder instead of calmer, spinning instead of focusing. I don't know how long I was under there. Seconds feel like minutes when you're fighting for air. I know at some point I stopped moving as much, not because I wanted to, but because my body was running out of options. That's when I saw it. Light, a patch where the ice above me wasn't smooth, where the surface looked broken, jagged, the hole. Somehow I had drifted farther than I realized, carried by my own movement and the current beneath the ice. I kicked toward it with everything I had left. My hands broke through first, then my head. Air hit my lungs so hard it felt like it might tear something. I coughed violently, choking, barely able to keep myself from slipping back under as hands grabbed my jacket, my arms, pulling me onto the ice. I lay there gasping, shaking uncontrollably, unable to speak or even focus my eyes properly. The cold didn't stop just because I was out of the water. It felt deeper now, lodged in my bones. Everyone was shouting at once. Someone was crying. Someone kept asking if I was okay, over and over, like saying it enough times would make it true. I couldn't answer them. I remember staring at the hole in the ice, the dark water beneath it still moving, still open, like nothing had happened, like it was waiting. They got me back to shore somehow. I don't remember walking. I don't remember sitting down. I remember the sound of my teeth chattering so violently my jaw hurt, and the way my hands wouldn't stop shaking even after blankets were wrapped around me. Later, after the adrenaline wore off, after the shock settled into something quieter and heavier, the fear finally caught up. I couldn't stop thinking about how close I came to missing the hole, about how easily panic could have kept me moving in the wrong direction just a few seconds longer, about how helpless everyone on the surface had been, how quickly confidence turned into chaos. What stays with me most isn't the cold or the pain. It's the feeling of being trapped under something solid and familiar, realizing that the surface you trusted without question could suddenly become a ceiling you couldn't escape. I don't step onto frozen lakes anymore, not because I think they're all dangerous, but because I know now how fast certainty disappears when the ground gives way under your feet, and how terrifying it is to be left alone with your own panic when there's nowhere obvious to go. Thanks for watching No Sleep Tonight, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow. And if you want more unsettling stories, there are 2 more waiting for you on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, sleep well.